Now we're going to talk about something called coterminal angles. A coterminal angle is just two angles that end up in the same spot. You might be asking, well, what do you mean by that? How does that happen? Well, let's take a look at this angle right here. If I was to go from here to here, let's say for the sake of argument that that's 60 degrees. Now, I could also go all the way around there, which would be 60 degrees plus 360 degrees, which would actually be 420 degrees. So I would still be in the exact same place. So 420 degrees and 60 degrees are called coterminal. So what happens if we start with an angle like 925 degrees? How can I figure out which side or which angle that is coterminal with? Well, really what we're going to do is we're going to undo that 925 degrees. In other words, I'm going to go backwards around 360 and then I'll end up in the same place. So if I just keep subtracting 360 until I get to a number between 0 and 360, then that means it will be my coterminal angle. And really, these are the angles that we're most concerned about, is the ones between 0 and 360. So a lot of times if we have an angle like 925, we'll want to find out which angle is coterminal with that between 0 and 360 degrees. So in order to do that, all you need to do is just start subtracting 360 until you get to a number that's between 0 and 360. So the first time that I subtract 360, I'm going to get 565. Well, that's not between 0 and 360, so I have to subtract 360 again. And when I do that, I get 205. Well, 205 is between 0 and 360, so that's going to be my coterminal angle. We can use the same idea with radians. In order to do this with radians, what we're going to want to do is subtract 2 pi, because just like 360 degrees goes all the way around the circle, so does 2 pi radians go all the way around the circle. Now, it's a little bit trickier because we're dealing with fractions. So if I start with 20 pi over 3, I want to subtract 2 pi. Well, in order to subtract fractions, I need to have a common denominator. So I need to write an equivalent fraction to negative 2 pi that has a 3 on bottom. I get that by multiplying the bottom by 3, which means I have to multiply the top by 3 as well, which will give me 6 pi. So I'm going to be subtracting 6 pi over 3 each time until I get to a number that's between 0 and 2 pi. So if I start off here, I'm going to go ahead and subtract 6 pi over 3, and that will give me 14 pi over 3. Well, I know 6 pi over 3 is 2 pi, so it has to be less than 6 pi over 3. So that means I need to subtract again. So I'm going to subtract 6 pi again over 3, and that will give me 7 pi over 3. That's still a little too big because 7 is bigger than 6. So I'm going to subtract 6 pi over 3 again, and that will leave me with just pi over 3 radians. And that is coterminal with 20 pi over 3. So in the top part, we just subtract 360 until we get to a number between 0 and 360. And here we subtract 2 pi until we get to a number between 0 and 2 pi.